Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining us today. We're diving into a really brilliant concept from Henry Ward Beecher, who once said, "All words are pegs to hang ideas on." And honestly, we're taking that literally today, to master Lesson 33 of the classic vocabulary builder, 504 Absolutely Essential Words. Let's build up that vocabulary so you can hang your absolute best ideas up for the whole world to see.
But first, let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt, just totally trapped by basic words? Like, you have this highly specific, really complex thought in your head, but you just can't find the exact term to express what you actually mean in an everyday conversation? It's frustrating, right? Well, that is exactly what this explainer is going to fix for you today.
Okay, here's our roadmap to efficiently master the 12 essential words of Lesson 33. We've grouped them into 4 highly memorable themes. First, sounds and speech. Second, behaviors and impacts. Third, words in the wild. And finally, number 4, the visual vocabulary quiz.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Sounds and Speech.
So, our very first word today is shrill. Think of a sound that just goes way, way up high in pitch. It's so sharp that it almost physically hurts your ears, That incredibly piercing quality, that is the very definition of a shrill sound.
And it's actually wild how versatile this word is in practice. It applies to insects, like crickets, making shrill noises out in the night. It works for a sharp warning, like a policeman's shrill whistle. Or it can even describe raw human emotion, like a completely shrill torrent of insults.
Okay, moving on to something a whole lot warmer. Our next word is jolly. It simply means merry and full of fun. Honestly, it's one of those words that practically smiles right back at you when you say it out loud.
I love how these examples paint such vivid pictures in your head. You can easily picture the jolly laughter of pirates dividing up their stolen gold, right? Or, of course, a certain red-suited gentleman with a jolly twinkle in his eye, maybe stuck in a chimney somewhere.
Next up, we've got witty. Now, being witty isn't just about being goofy or funny. It specifically means being cleverly amusing. It's a very sharp, highly intellectual kind of humor that requires incredibly quick thinking on your feet.
And listen, being witty can be a massive advantage in life. Think about it. Whether you're delivering a witty introduction to establish yourself as a first-rate speaker, or maybe you're a lawyer trying to prosecute a case by keeping the jury totally entertained. Just remember, you definitely do not want to be too slow to appreciate witty remarks when they're thrown your way.
All right, let's contrast 2 extremes of vocalization here. On one side, we have mumble, which means to speak indistinctly. It's like mumbling awkwardly through a really painful apology. Now contrast that with mute, which means entirely silent or physically unable to speak. Imagine a normally defiant child standing entirely mute in front of the principal. Total opposites.
Moving right along to our second theme, Section 2, behaviors and impacts.
Our next word is one you probably use all the time, volunteer. It means a person who enters a service of their own free will, or the actual act of offering those services. Notice how it seamlessly pulls double duty. It's both a noun for the person and a verb for the action itself.
The absolute core of this word is free will. We see it on a massive scale, like when a military draft is completely replaced by a volunteer army, but we also see it in everyday life, whether that's someone like Terry not hesitating to volunteer for the really difficult jobs, or, boys being incredibly reluctant to volunteer to clean up after a school dance.
Next is a pretty weighty word, prejudice. It's an opinion formed without taking the time and care to actually judge fairly. It can also mean to harm or injure. It perfectly isolates that fundamental danger of forming snap opinions without taking even a moment to look at the facts impartially.
Eliminating prejudice is absolutely, without question, a primary concern in any democracy, because prejudice against minority groups can unfortunately linger for a long time. But remember, it also functions as an action. For instance, a witness's completely weird behavior can actually prejudice or harm a legal case.
Let's compare a couple of negative impacts here. First, we have hindering, meaning to hold back or make something hard to do. Think of deep mud completely hindering travel in an urban center. Contrast that with outright abuse, which is way more active. Abuse means to make bad use of, to use wrongly, or to treat badly, like wrongly abusing the privileges of a school's honor system, for example. Okay, Section 3, words in the wild. Let's see how these actually connect. So we've got this short narrative straight from the book called Don't Look Over My Shoulder. Imagine a kibitzer. That's a person who volunteers totally useless information during card games, which naturally causes the actual players to be prejudiced against him. It's just brilliant how our new vocabulary perfectly captures the super annoying spectator, isn't it?
Now watch how the tension just completely escalates as almost all of our Lesson 33 words pile up. His shrill cry scares animals. Though he thinks he's being jolly or witty, his advice hinders way more than it helps. We might lecture him for his abuse of our friendship, but he just mumbles on. By the end, we just wish to make him mute with a small a wad of cotton right in his mouth.
All right, Section 4, the visual vocabulary quiz. You've seen the definitions, you've seen the story. Now it is time to test your active recall.
Take a really close look at the illustration we have here. We've got a man pointing quite sternly at a clock on the wall, right in front of a captive audience. I want you to literally shout at your screen for me. Which of the 12 words we just covered is suggested by this picture?
If you yelled out lecture, meaning a planned speech or a scolding, you absolutely nailed it. Great job. Now, let's look at our very final word of the lesson, retain. To retain means to keep, to remember, or to employ by payment of a fee.
Which brings me to my final and probably most important question for you to ponder today. We've gone through sounds, speech, behaviors, and impacts. You've seen all these words out in the wild. But out of all the vocabulary we've explored together in this explainer today, how many of these 12 essential words will you actually retain tomorrow?